considering our previous segments that we talked about on Bungie, I think you have to, and this guy right here is hilarious, but I think you have to understand why these companies are the way that they are outside of the video game space. You'd have to look into it just a tad bit deeper. It's not anything that requires much energy of you, but you got to connect the dots, if you will. And right now, it started in 2021 was a year. Let's just be open. It was out of the George Floyd situation, where so many companies decided that they are now on the side of social justice, and they were going to use their platform specifically to do it. Not doing it in secrecy, not individuals that work for the company doing it. They were going to tie their brand to various forms of activism. That was what happened out of that. And I know some people looked at video games like it was the last line of defense. These guys came, social justice advocates came and ran fucking everything into the ground. And that's true. A lot of people looked at video game space as the last line of defense. But as we covered with Bungie and other companies, it's not so much, or rather, they're certainly getting to them. And it's a combination of, okay, we have pimped. Obviously, this is their views. I think they're actually social justice advocates. They believe that this is how activists work. They infiltrate. But also in that they look at it as a sense, it's like momentous, let's say that. So they gained a little ground, and now they're like, okay, companies, y'all, everybody else needs to do it. So what happens is it's a copycat league, as they all say, in that a lot of other companies who otherwise would not have taken, let's say, these political positions, they're now like, well, it's being demanded of us to do it. Other people in our industry are doing it. So if we don't do it, the people who they have overestimated in terms of how many of them it is, and that's like the social justice leftists like that are on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and all that shit, where they think that represents like the vast majority of the American population when it doesn't. They look at it like, well, shit, they're going to come for us. We got to come out and say something publicly. And this is sort of this article right here operates with those it shows those tactics at work, where Nathan Grayson, who's a dickhead, and Shannon Liao writes for the Washington Post, and they say as Roe v. Wade repeal looms, video game industry stays mostly silent. So basically, they're about to bitch about most of the video game companies saying we're leaving that one alone. In the wake of leaked draft Supreme Court opinion, essentially confirmed that Roe v. Wade's days of numbers, most of the video game industry biggest companies have remained quiet. Shortly after Politico reported Sony purchased Destiny Studio, Bungie published a statement. Yes, and we talked about this. You know where Bungie is at. And prompting fans to donate to reproductive rights focused organizations, aka baby killing organizations. In the following days, indie developers had a handful of other studios like Psychonauts, created Double Fine, and Guild Wars developer ArenaNet published brief statements of their own. A handful of workers also told the Post that they will participate in a week-long Mother's Day strike aimed at protesting. This is, by the way, almost a 10-day-old article from when I'm doing this video. Overturn Roe v. Wade with permission from their companies to stop work this week. But the majority of gaming's heaviest hitters appear to have kept their mouths and their wallets closed. Their silence is especially conspicuous following the industry's near unilateral support of causes like Black Lives Matter. See, that's what I was talking about. They're never going to be satisfied. Y'all stepped in a pile of dog shit, social justice dog shit, when y'all took their side after the George Floyd 2020. So now they're like, oh, where you at? Y'all took our side here? Well, we have other social justice causes that you need to be advancing. Where you at? That was your mistake. In both cases, many big companies released statements, donated charitable causes, updated internal policies, and added in-game features to allow players to express their supports. The Washington Post contacted 20 major video game companies about whether they plan to make statements regarding Roe's potential repeal or provide employers with monetary aid in places where abortions would no longer be available. Only Microsoft and Activision Blizzard responded with statements. And this is one of the statements. Microsoft says that they will continue to doing everything that they can under the law to protect their employees' rights and support employees and their enrolled dependents in accessing critical health care, which already includes services like abortion and gender-affirming care. So Microsoft apparently is paying their employees to cut their dicks off as well as kill babies. And this support is being extended to travel expenses and assistance and other medical services where access to care is limited in availability. So basically they can travel somewhere else to cut off their penises as well as kill the children. Other tech behemoths like Amazon, Tesla, Lyft, and Uber have also promised monetary aid, in some cases legal protections. Since 1973, blah, 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 blah. And the independent studio Certain Affinity, which has worked on major games like Halo Infinite, is based in Texas, a state that has significantly restricted access to abortion. And he said that the information on Roe v. Wade took him by surprise. They're going to take a hard stance on this. And it says, continuing on, the response to Bungie's post might offer a clue as to why some company remain mum on the matter. Gamers have a tendency to bristle at issues pertaining to both. Oh my gosh, so that's the angle. To women both in game and out of game. So basically, and then he brings up Gamergate. So he's basically saying, well, this is knocking on women. Therefore, that's maybe why they won't take a position. And obviously, considering that men dominate this market, that's why. It can't possibly be that people, whether it be no matter what it is that they are, disagree with baby killing. And maybe that because those are your customers, you probably don't want to take a position there. And maybe at some point these companies are going to realize that maybe that's not where we want to enter. Bungie, for its part, stood firm. We chosen our side, and it wasn't difficult. And I don't know why yet. So y'all need to stop funding Bungie. Bungie's doing whatever they can to basically tell you this is where we're at. And it says inside the company, blah, blah, blah. So they're basically co-signing, hey, Bungie is committed to all of these social justice cause. They talk about right here, Bungie has an internal diversity committee. And blah, blah, blah. Activision Blizzard's taking their stance. We've covered that before. It continues as well on where their position is. And however, other gaming companies that are big have not said anything, and they're pissed off about it. So it's like, hey, look at Activision Blizzard, look at Bungie, look at look at some of these other companies. But the vast majority of the video gaming industry has said nothing about this. Y'all stepped in shit, man. 2020, y'all's own doing. Me personally, I feel like new companies need to rise from the ashes. I think some of these companies just have to die. I don't care that they produce your favorite games. I think some of these companies, I hope they die. You know, they deserve to burn in hell. Let them die and make new video gaming companies that aren't fucking social justice advocates rise from the ashes. Look, man, I'm a political guy myself, but I made this vow with my other stuff, like what I'm doing with like my comic stuff. I don't want that to be beating you over the head with political shit. Like, you don't read comics for that reason, so I'm not going to be doing shit like that. It's one thing for me as an individual to take a position, but I don't want my company to be taking fucking political. Like, that's fucking stupid. I don't want to be doing that. Some of these people don't understand, or they do understand, they just don't care because you're not going to do anything. That's how they look at it. But certainly the advocates of social justice don't care. That's for sure. And that's that maybe there's people on the other side of you on a political issue that also plays this game or buys content from this company. There's not one prominent video game company that built its games or its fan base and built the company to what it is now by being an advocate of social justice. Simply didn't. Bungie didn't. Activision didn't. Blizzard didn't. That's not what happened. People from different sides of the political aisle were buying your product. And that's how you got to where you're at right now. Often, when you look at the type of industry that you're in with video games, because it's like that form of like entertainment escapism, a lot of people buy your products to specifically get away from that shit. Now, again, social justice advocates are different. They want everything to be about them. They hijack stuff. They take it and they make it about themselves. So they don't look at it like about you making money or the bottom line or you pissing off your customers. They don't give a shit about that. What they care about is how can we use this massive brand to advance our causes? And the more of you continue to give them leeway or rather compromise, the more fucked this situation is going to get. You just listened to a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake, which is live throughout the week at 12 p.m. Central on youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. Be sure to check out my website, ericdjuly.com, so you can stay up to date with everything it is that I'm doing. You can also become a member and get access to a bunch of cool perks and exclusive content, which includes a social media hub where you can interact with myself and other members. It even has an app that you can get, which is now live in the Google and Apple stores.